I found out my college fund was gone 2 weeks before graduation. I was 17, standing in the kitchen, reading an acceptance letter from Stanford. My mom was crying happy tears. My dad gave me a tight-lipped smile and clapped me on the back. But I remember noticing something strange in his eyes. Not pride, something closer to dread. At the time, I brushed it off. I thought he was just overwhelmed, or maybe sad I'd be leaving. I couldn't have been more wrong. The real reason was buried beneath years of lies, whispers behind closed doors, and a man slowly unraveling under the weight of secrets he couldn't control. But my dad had gambled away my entire college fund. The truth came out in pieces. It started when my mom tried to finalize the payment for my tuition. She opened the joint account labeled college, Ethan, and what was supposed to hold over $180 held $11.39. At first, she assumed it was a mistake, a bank error. She called my dad at work. He didn't answer. She kept calling. Finally, after 10 attempts, he picked up and said he was in a meeting and would call her back. He didn't. When he got home, I was in the living room, playing with my acceptance package. I still didn't know anything. My mom pulled him into the kitchen, and for the next hour, I heard muffled shouting through the wall. Eventually, I walked in and saw her sitting at the table, pale and shaking. He was just standing there, arms crossed, jaw locked, not saying a word. "What's going on?" I asked. My mom looked up at me, then at him. "Tell him," she whispered. He didn't. So she did. He'd been gambling for years. At first, it was just weekend poker nights, then online blackjack, then sports betting, then the casinos, and sometime around my sophomore year of high school, while I was studying for finals and volunteering to beef up my resume, he was draining the fund my grandparents had helped build since I was born. The last of it disappeared 6 months ago. And he never told us. My hands went cold. I stared at him, hoping it was a prank, some horrible, misguided joke, but he didn't even flinch. He looked away, shame in his eyes, but no apology. My mom broke down crying. I didn't say anything. I just left the room. That night, I sat in my bedroom staring at the Stanford logo on my acceptance letter. I was supposed to leave in 3 months. Now, I had nothing. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I skipped school, went to a coffee shop, and just sat there, trying to understand why. Why would he do that? Why didn't he stop? Why didn't he tell us? I didn't get answers. Only more questions. The fallout at home was immediate. My mom threatened divorce. My dad begged her to give him time, that he'd win it back. That was the worst part. He didn't seem to grasp the finality of what he'd done. To him, it wasn't over. To me, it was a betrayal I couldn't process. I stopped speaking to him unless I had to. My mom picked up extra shifts at the clinic. I got a job bagging groceries. We applied for aid, loans, anything we could. Stanford offered some merit money, but not nearly enough. In the end, I deferred. I told everyone I was taking a gap year. But inside, I was boiling. I knew one thing for certain. I would never trust my father again. 1 month later, something strange happened. A man showed up at our door. He wore a black jacket and spoke with a clipped accent. Said he was looking for my dad. My mom told him he wasn't home. The man handed her a card and walked off. I saw it. It had no name, just a number. My mom looked disturbed. She slipped the card into a drawer and never mentioned it. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Later that night, I waited until everyone was asleep, snuck into the kitchen, pulled out the card. I called the number. It rang once. Then, "Do you know what your father owes?" The voice was cold, male, unfamiliar. I hesitated. "I'm his son," I said. A long pause. Then, "Tell him the clock is ticking." Clicked. I stood there in the dark, hand frozen around the receiver. What the hell had my dad gotten into? I confronted him the next morning. He tried to brush it off. Said it was just a bluff. Some guys he borrowed from. Nothing serious. But I saw the way his hands trembled when he said it. That's when I realized it wasn't just about the college fund. He'd borrowed money. A lot of it. And not from a bank. From people who don't forget he was in deep. That weekend, he disappeared. Just gone. No note. No call. We filed a report. The police said there was no sign of foul play, but they'd keep an eye out. My mom broke again. I didn't cry. Part of me thought he'd finally realized what he'd done, that he left to protect us. But another part thought something darker, that someone had collected. 3 days later, I got a text. Blocked. Number. Your father made a deal. You're part of it now. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about money. This was something else entirely, something dangerous, and whatever my dad had gotten into, it wasn't done with us yet. Asterisk. The text haunted me. Your father made a deal. You're part of it now. I stared at the screen, half expecting it to vanish, like a glitch, a cruel trick of exhaustion. But it stayed, blinking at me in the dark that I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, heart pounding, every creak in the house amplified 100 times. When the sun rose, I tried to convince myself it was a scare tactic, a bluff, some low-level thug trying to rattle a kid, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. The next day, I got another message. Block number. Check your locker. That was it. I skipped first period, walked straight to my school locker, opened it, and froze. Inside was a plain manila envelope, and no name. No markings. I looked around. No one was watching me. Or if they were good at hiding. I opened the envelope. Inside were three things: a photograph of my father, sitting at a blackjack table in what looked like a private casino room, a small thumb drive, a handwritten note, finish what he couldn't, or pay the price. I skipped the rest of the day and went straight home, locked my door, plugged the drive into my laptop. It was encrypted, of course, but inside the folder. Structure was a single file labeled WATCHMEFIRSD.mp4. I clicked it with security footage. Grainy, black and white. Time stamped from 2 months ago.it showed my dad, pacing in a high-ceiling room, dimly lit. Velvet drapes. Gold trim. Not a regular casino. He looked terrified. A man entered, sharply dressed. I couldn't see his face clearly. The two talked. No audio. My dad gestured wildly, almost pleading. The man remained calm, unmoved. Then he pulled out a small, black case. Opened it.my dad froze. Then, slowly nodded. The man handed him APEN.my dad signed a paper. The video cut off. I didn't know what he signed. But I had a sick feeling in my stomach. That wasn't a loan agreement. That was something else. The deal. I started digging. There was no name on the envelope, but I began searching for private gambling rings in the area. Underground casinos. Anything. Most results were garbage. Rumors. Reddit threads. Half-baked conspiracy theories. But then I found something. An anonymous post from 2 years ago on a dead forum. Subject: do not go to the pavilion. The message read: they tell you it's a game. It's not. It's a test. If they pick you, walk away, or you'll never walk again. There were no replies, but the post had an image. I clicked it was blurry. Nighttime. But behind the shadow of a man exiting a limo, I saw the golden crest. On the door of a building. It matched the one in the video with my dad. The pavilion. I followed the rabbit hole deeper. More stories. Disconnected whispers. Mentions of a hidden tier casino, invite only, where the wealthy and desperate go to place the kind of bets you don't talk about. Some said it was rigged. Some said it was cursed. Some said it wasn't about money. At all point 3 days later, another text came. Block number. Be at 9th and Grand. Tonight. Midnight. No signature. No explanation. I didn't tell my mom that she'd already lost sleep, weight, and what little hope she had left. Instead, I put on a hoodie, pocketed a flashlight and a box cutter, the only weapon I had, and biked across town. At 11:57 p.m. A black car pulled up beside the curb. The window rolled down. A woman sat in the back seat. Red lipstick. Pale skin. Cold eyes. Get in. I hesitated. Your father did, she said. I got in. The drive was silent. Tinted windows. No directions. After 20 minutes, we pulled into a gated estate on the edge of the city. From the outside, it looked like a private club, but inside, it was something else. Velvet halls. Dim chandeliers. Men and women in tuxedos and gowns. All too perfect. Too polished. Like a mask over something rotten. A tall man greeted me with a smile that never reached his eyes. Welcome back, Ethan. I've never been here. He chuckled. But your dad has. He led me down a narrow corridor and opened a door. Inside was a single table. A dealer sat behind it. Black gloves. No expression. On the table, a deck of cards. And a single chair. Sit. I did. The man placed a coin on the table. Gold. Heavy. This is your father's wager. He left it behind. Unfinished. What is it? He smiled. A memory. Before I could speak, he snapped his fingers. The room blurred. I swear. I felt the floor vanish. My vision distorted like I was falling without moving. Then everything went black. When I woke up, I wasn't in the room anymore. I was home, but not my home. It was my dad's childhood house. I recognized it from old photos, and I wasn't alone. My father stood there. Younger, maybe 18. I watched him argue with his father, my grandfather. Heard words about failure, pressure, shame. Then I was pulled forward. More memories. More pieces. My dad at a casino for the first time. Winning big. Then losing. Then chasing it. His desperation. His guilt. His silence. It wasn't a vision. It was a memory tour. I was seeing his pain. His worst moments. His reasons. And by the end, I understood something I hadn't before. He didn't just ruin my college fund. That he was trying to outrun himself. I woke up gasping on the floor of the pavilion. The woman with red lipstick helped me sit up. "You survived," she said. "Not all do." I looked around. The man was gone. The room was empty, but the coin was still there, resting on the table. I picked it up. The image on it had changed. It was now engraved with my face. They let me leave that night, didn't explain anything, just said, "Round 2 will come. Be ready." Since then, I've been waiting. My dad is still missing, but I know this now. He wasn't running from the debt. He was trying to protect me from something older, deeper, something I never believed. And until I saw it myself, and whatever this game is, it wants me now. I didn't sleep for 2 days after I left the pavilion. Not because I didn't want to, because I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the same thing. My face, carved into that gold coin, resting on the dealer's table like a silent promise. Or maybe a curse. Whatever that memory tour was, it changed something inside me. I don't mean spiritually or emotionally. I mean physically. I started hearing things. Buzzing, clicking, like a safe unlocking behind walls. I could remember details from years ago that had been long buried, down to the color of the sky. On my 6th birthday, or the exact words my mom whispered when I had the flu in 3rd grade. It was like something in me had been rewired. And I had no idea why. On the 3rd night, the coin glowed. I'd left it on my desk under a cup, trying to forget it. But as I sat in the dark, scrolling through forums on secret societies and psychological experiments, a faint golden light caught my eye. It was pulsing. Not like a reflection, like a heartbeat. I picked it up. The moment my skin touched it, my vision blurred, and I saw coordinates, flashing, for just a moment, latitude, longitude. Burned into my brain. I didn't question it. I packed a bag, told my mom I was staying with a friend, and took a bus out of town. It dropped me off on a road that didn't exist on Google Maps, a place the GPS marked as private territory. I walked a mile through heavy fog. Eventually, I found it. A gate, rusted shut, with the same golden crest from the pavilion, etched in its center. It opened on its OWNO wind. No hands, just opened. Beyond the gate was what looked like an abandoned estate. Ivy-covered walls, broken windows, and in the center of the courtyard, a sundial with 13 marks instead of 12. I stepped closer, and the moment I crossed the edge of its shadow, I was pulled again, not physically, mentally, back into another memory. Only this time, it wasn't mine. I saw a woman, blonde hair, lab coat, crying. She was inside a white sterile room, whispering into a recorder. Project Vantage was a mistake. We tried to rewrite memory structures, but we accidentally linked them across bloodlines. She paused. "If anyone sees this, if he sees this, I'm sorry. Your father never meant for this to happen." I recognized her from a photo I found once in my dad's drawer, labeled Marion Vantage 3. She wasn't just some scientist. She was my aunt. When I snapped out of the vision, I was lying on the ground, bleeding from the nose. Whatever that coin was doing, it was ripping through time, through memory, through family. And something told me, if I kept going, I might not make it back. I tried to leave the estate. The gate wouldn't open. I walked around it for hours, searching for another way out. Eventually, I returned to the sundial, the ground beneath. It had shifted. A staircase now led downward, spiraling into dark stone. I didn't hesitate. I descended. Below was a long corridor lit by gas lamps. At the end, another room. This one empty, except for a mirror and a chair. On the mirror, someone had written, in red, "Ask it." I Saturday, and for a second, nothing happened. Then the mirror flickered, and someone else appeared. It was me, but older, scar on his cheek. Tired eyes. Same coin in his hand. This is where you choose, he said. Do you want to finish the deal or erase it? I tried to speak, but no sound came out. He pointed to two symbols on the floor, one gold, one black. Gold means you carry it forward. Keep the connection alive. Follow the thread. Black means you walk away. You forget. Everyone forgets. But you'll never get another chance. I didn't understand. Choose. He said that I stood there for what felt like an hour die in the end. I stepped onto the black symbol. The mirror shattered. I woke up outside the estate. Middle of the day. My phone was dead. My watch was cracked. I stumbled to the nearest gas station and called my mom. She was crying. Said I'd been missing for a week. But that wasn't the strangest part. When I got home, I found something waiting on my desk. The coin was gone. In its place, a key, and a photo. My dad, standing in front of the pavilion. But something was different. The timestamp. It was taken 2 days ago. He was alive. Now I know what the key is for, and I know what I have to do next. They told me I walked away from the game, but the game isn't done with me yet. The key was old, brass, heavy. It felt important, and the photo of my dad, standing outside the pavilion, alive, dated 2 days ago, shattered everything I thought I knew. He hadn't vanished. He'd gone back. Finish something or two. Bury it. Either way, I had to follow. I didn't waste time. The coin was gone, the mirror destroyed, but I still had the coordinates I'd memorized. The ones burned into me after I touched the coin that pulsed with my face on it. This time, the location was in Nevada. Deep desert. I flew out the same night. Landed in a town with one motel and a diner that still used a rotary phone. The clerk raised an eyebrow when I checked in. You headed to the dust line? He asked. I froze. I don't know. He just smiled. No one ever does. But they always come back changed, or don't come back at all. The dust line wasn't on maps. I took a rental car as far as the road allowed, then hiked the rest through dry brush and silence. Eventually, I found a fence. Beyond it, the new pavilion. This one wasn't velvet halls and chandeliers. It was concrete. Steel. Hidden beneath the cracked earth. I held up the key. A lock clicked open that I couldn't see, and a metal door slid sideways into the rock, inviting me in. Inside, everything was sterile. Fluorescent lighting. Cameras. The air was too cold. I walked through empty halls until I found a room with glass walls. And inside him, my father, strapped to a chair, eyes closed, hooked up to a machine with cables drilled into the back of his neck. I screamed. He didn't react. I pounded the glass. Nothing. Then, a voice over a speaker. You were warned, Ethan. It was the woman in red. The same one who drove me to the first pavilion. Her voice was calm, precise. He returned on his own, offered himself to finish the cycle, to erase the debt. What debt? She didn't answer. Instead, the machine next to him powered up. A screen showed memory fragments, images flashing like strobe lights. Him, as a boy, his wedding. Me, as a baby, then darkness, screaming, cards on fire, a contract in blood. You made it farther than we expected, she said. But this game is older than both of you. I turned to find her standing behind me, dressed not in red this time, but white, like a surgeon. She handed me something. A coin, but it wasn't mine this time. It was my father's. His face, his eyes, and below it, redeemed. What does this mean? I asked. It means he paid his price. I looked at him through the glass. Let him go. She shook her head. He's not here anymore. I ran into the room. No alarms. No guards, just silence. I touched his hand. Cold. But then, his eyes opened. And for a second, just a second, he looked at me. Not through me. At me. He smiled. I saved you, he whispered. Then closed his eyes again. The screen flatlined. I screamed. But the machine kept humming, now showing my memories. My childhood. My anger. My descent. Then a contract. And signed. I turned. The woman was gone. The coin was gone. And in its place, a pen, black, old, waiting. I left. I didn't sign. Didn't destroy. I just walked. Out of the pavilion. Out of the desert. Out of the game. That was 2 years ago. I'm at Stanford now. Scholarship. Loans. Every cent earned. I don't talk about my dad. I told my mom he died in an accident. It's easier that way. But some nights, I hear the machine in my dreams. And once, just once, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. Of me. Sitting in the pavilion.my face on the coin. The word underneath. Deferred. I don't know what it means that I don't know if the game is truly over. But I know this. Some deaths don't die. They wait until someone's desperate enough to flip the coin again. The end.